Alright, this is my postmodernism countercultures presentation. I'm going to be focusing on the anti-war movement. Alright, here's a brief intro to postmodernism. So this movement spanned over 2 decades, spawning many other movements which were under the umbrella of postmodernism. And here we see a departure from philosophies and ideas from the modernist age and era, where more postmodern artists and designers that spawned from the postmodernist world challenge those ideas and beliefs in the way that they created art and design in the modernist age, where we see that they sort of stray away from objective and rationale, creating more obscure and abstract pieces of art and design, with postmodernism being sort of a mixing bowl of old techniques with new and currently developing ideas in their current culture. So on the right we have Andy Warhol's Marilyn Monroe and Roy Lichtenstein's Maybe He Became Ill. These both artists of the pop art movement. They are the first two artists that come up when you search up postmodernism on Google. Their works are very colourful and feel very different from what came before during the modernist age. And on the right hand side are furniture pieces from an Italian designer, Ettore Sotas. Very colourful, abstract, and filled with patterns, different shapes. Anyway, the anti-war movement. So this was the public's response to the situation in Vietnam and I guess the fear of the World War. Not the World War, the Cold War. Because, yeah, this had been a conflict that had been brewing between the governments of the world and the fear of potential conflicts happening, such as Vietnam, was really scary at the time. And when Vietnam finally happened, and people saw the intense and graphic coverage of the war, they want to change. These people mainly being the younger population, like college students, young adults, and others being hippies. Those who just wanted peace throughout the world, mainly pacifist. So, next up we have Nancy Spiro. She was an artist that was born in the year 1926 and passed away in 2009. She lived most of her life in New York City and got married to Leon Golub, another artist. And her main themes were direct political engagement, sexism, racism, violence, and abuse of power in her artwork. Her war series was very short run, from the years 1966 through to 1970, and it had very rudimentary imagery in response to the government efforts in Vietnam. So there we have a portrait of Nancy on the left-hand side of the images, and on the right-hand side we have some of her paintings. She mainly worked with ink and gouache for this series. So first up we have Bomb and Victims, where Spiro creates a bloody scene using blood to create the landscape and black to display the burnt bodies, potentially the ash of victims. And following up, you'll see the use of bombs in the simplest form throughout her works a lot. And here she just uses very simple strokes and rubbing techniques to create not a picture but rather a visual, because during this time pictures of the war were everywhere, because through television there was videos, there was documentation through newspapers and such, that artists wanted just to portray just raw feeling through this, such as Spiro. And next up we have bomb shooting, which is just a massacre on all sides. Planes eating, planes with their cones shaped as what looks like snakes, devouring victims of the war, possibly innocent people. We have red blood streaks, and it overall just displays a very violent, just sort of story. Her paintings feeling like sort of like cave paintings. Everyone understands what they are meant to be, and they can vividly imagine what they are supposed to be. And next up we have Clown and Helicopter, showing a man with a cannon coming out of his crotch wielding a cross with a halo above his head. This is possibly showing the very religious population of America, and that religion is that Christ is right, and here Christ is doing no better than the rest of the world, with his name being used in the manner that the US sees as right, which is killing civilians with big cannons and large helicopters. Next up is Leon Golub. So this is Nancy's spouse. He lived throughout 1922 through to 2004. He studied in Chicago and lived there most of his life. Golub was recognized for his Golub's themes were recognized as war, racism, sexism, and power. Golub saw abuse of power in everything in the present world, and it existing as sort of a contemporary thing and an ancient law of the world's order. So here there's a portrait of him, and to the right are two paintings. The first mercenary is showing two soldiers carrying a victim. This piece focusing on the Vietnam War, and the next one, Interrogation 2, spawning from the cruel interrogations that supposedly happened with the FBI and CIA. Golub just commenting on how services with such high power just committed their operations. And his works are just very uncanny, they're very vivid, they're very bright, similar to other ways color was used throughout the postmodernist movement. And here is Vietnam 2. So in 1973, this is acrylic and canvas. This canvas looking similar to banners that were used to protest. And here we can see the Vietnamese people running away from the army, the left and the right, an invasion coming in. As we read from left to right, the start and the finish, we have the cause and the effect. What will happen to these people? Everyone knows. And if you notice by now that Golub uses very large pieces of fabric or canvas. Here, this is almost 3 meters by a meter and a bit over. And going back here, we've got his mercenaries taking up 5 meters by 3 meters, and another 4 meters by 3 meters. So this is just supposed to be very big, more than life size, sort of like a big just lens into what what he feels is, well, right, not right, but like how the government should be portrayed. And my overall thoughts on the anti-war movement. There are some similarities between the anti-war movement, and other movements such as the pop art movement, where they use colours that you might have not seen throughout the modernist world, and the way that brushstrokes or just techniques when used. But the anti-war movement just carried such a raw sense of emotion and just the overall emotions that were felt throughout these pieces were just so vivid, of the disdain towards an authority, and felt like the cries of help from the people, not only in Vietnam but the protesters as well. And here is my references. On the left hand side are my written sources, and on the right hand side are all of the images, paintings, and photographs. Thank you.